walk me back to 2008 because I had just finished college and I was sitting at home and just marveling at what you did the summer before in getting KG and Ray Allen and adding that to the pot that already had Paul Pierce. And in 1 year, y'all executing and winning a championship. That's hard as hell to get all those guys together. Like, it usually takes people a team 2 to 3 years to do that process. You did that in 1 year. How?
I think the difference between, if you look at, because I played on 2 different teams that did similar things, okay? So the team in Boston and then the team in Miami when LeBron came with Chris Bosh, right? And added with D-Wade. 2 different things. The Celtics team, KG already was an MVP. KG had already went to the Western Conference Finals. Paul went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Ray went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They had all the accolades. They're later in their career. They're not nowhere near done, but they are later in their career where all the personal things, the money that they made, they were able at that particular time to really just set aside. And they all had different games. KG post, pick and pop, pick and roll. Paul, ISO. Ray coming off screen, ISO if you need to. Got the daggers. You got 3 guys that could be closers. KG, Paul, and Ray. And each one will say, well, it's your turn to do it tonight, or it's your turn to do it tonight. Nobody was like, it's mine, and that's what it is. We're going to move out the way for you. It was just however the game was flowing, and Doc had a real good feel for that whole team, for that locker room, especially because he knew when to push, he knew when to pull back. He knew when to give us rest. He knew when he needed to put the foot on the gas and have us work a little harder. And I think that's what it was. And it was just a perfect mix of older guys and then getting the right other veterans to come in. So I'm going to Boston. I said, give me Poe's number. Let me talk to him. Poe's already had a deal. He was going to New Jersey. I just came from New Jersey, right? So the year before I just came from New Jersey. So he's getting ready to go to New Jersey. So I basically was like, Poe's, listen to this. I said, I just came from there. I said, there's nothing wrong with it. You're going to get some numbers. Jay going to be looking for you. You run the floor, Jay going to find you. You know what I'm saying? What you do, I said, it's going to be fun playing hoop, but y'all not going to beat this team. I said, you're not going to beat this team. Come here, we going to win a championship. We was on the phone for the longest, and I switched his mind, and he ended up coming. So I think that was an important piece. So we got that, and then I think Rondo be coming into his second year, understanding exactly what he needed to do, Perk being exactly what he needed to be. And I think we just had the perfect combination. And then also we went over to Italy for training camp, right? And when we went over there, we were forced to kick it with each other. Most of the time you go to training camp, you're not where you at. You at home, you go to training camp, you go home. You disassociate with the rest of the team, you back with your family. We were stuck there. And then so what ended up happening is we were forced to kick it with one another. You know, we were forced after practice to go eat together. We were forced after we ate to go hang out together. We were forced to go sightseeing together because it was like, what else we gonna do? And the next thing you know, you look around and I have a picture, we got 8 cats with bald heads on there. Ray done talked to everybody into shaving their head off, right? I didn't shave mine. I was like, you crazy. I ain't not knocking these waves off. These waves for the babes, you dig? So I was like, I'm not about to do that. But some of them did do that. But it was like it was a real team bonding that we were able to accomplish out there that I think brought us to a level like that very first practice we had. Our second unit beat the shit out of the first unit. And the team that we had was a team full of us, you know, like we really like that, like a team full of alphas, okay? But it just set the tone for how this team was going to be. This team was going to be one of those teams where you can't take a second off, not if you're between these lines. You can't take a day off. You got to be there for your teammate. Otherwise, you're going to get called out, especially when practice is over. We in the locker room, you getting called out. And I think once that was established, Doc recognized that. All the players recognized that. It just became more of we just kept building and building and building. And we have a monster over here.
How did that differ from Miami?
The Miami team, we brought a lot of older vets in on smaller deals. At the time, those 3 were trying to figure out how to play with and off of one another, because two of them play similar type games. You know, D-Wade, LeBron, slasher, you know, got the ball in the hand, got to really work. LeBron being a better playmaker than D-Wade, but D-Wade could still be a good playmaker. And Chris was kind of the guy that had to figure out how, you know, even though he still made the All-Star team, obviously because he put up numbers, but he still was trying to figure out how to beat Chris Bosh in that sense. And a lot of times they were deferring off each other. When one had it rocking, you're supposed to be like, man, get out the way, you go ahead. And then, you know, and I also think that Spo at that time still was a young coach and was trying to figure out how to put all this together. You know, how do I manage this? How do I make this really work? A give and take, like trying to understand how to balance it. And I think that as bad as it hurt for us to lose, right? It was a learning experience for everybody on that team. It was a learning experience for Spo. It was a learning experience for Bron. It was a learning experience for D-Wade. It was a learning experience for CB. All of them understood now exactly how they needed to attack the next season. And you've seen what they went. They went back to back.
But I also remember Ray Allen leaving Boston and going to Miami. Why, from the outside looking in, did it seem more acceptable in the eyes of your Celtics brethren for you to leave Boston and to go to Miami versus Allen?
Well, because I got traded the year before. I got traded in the middle of that season to New York. I'm quite sure that they had input on that trade, right? And was no, you know, it's the business of basketball, right? Okay, so you have to get over that. As much as it hurts, you just have to understand it's the business of basketball. So I think that what hurt them is that they had something, a core nucleus, and it was just like, seemed like it was ready to blow up again, like they about to do it again. And he's like, he had to leave. And that was for the business of basketball. The business was better for him if he left. It wasn't the same there. Now, granted, if it would have been the same situation for him in Boston, possibly he might would have stayed, but that wasn't the case. So the case of the matter was, he had to do what was best for him, what made him feel the most comfortable. And for anybody to really be upset at somebody for doing something what they feel, what another man feels is best for himself and his family, I don't think people have the right to do that. But a lot of people comment on it, you know what I mean? And especially if you're close to somebody, you feel like, man, we got this relationship, and then it kind of hits you out you kind of get blindsided with it. Like, you don't have those discussions. Like, if me and you are like this, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I just signed a deal over here and I didn't even talk to you about it. You like, oh man, you kind of backdoored me, right? Why did you? We could at least talked about it. But and again, it's not my obligation to talk to you about that on the other side. So, but I see both sides of it. And I'm so glad that Ray did show up, and I knew he would. Me and Ray talk all the time. Not all the time, but we talk a lot. And I knew that Ray was leaning towards doing this, basically burying the hatchet, because it really was overblown. All the stuff was overblown. So it was good to see Ray show up to KG's retirement. It was good to get the band back together.
Riddle me this. Would Kevin Durant be a better fit in Boston or Miami?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Why?
I mean, and you know what? And the cold part about it is that when you put it like that, because Miami is, I love Miami too, man. These are the only two organizations, and I hate to say that, but the two organizations that really have my heart, because I spent the bulk of my time there. A lot of other places I just spent 1 year. You know, not that I don't have any love for the other organizations that I played for, but these organizations, I mean, especially Boston winning the championship, deep rooted, especially with Miami 4 years there, them drafting me, taking a chance on a guy, you know. So if I could just make it like happen, because it's going to be hard to make it happen, like regardless of contract issues, just say, who is he a better fit for one or the other? I would say I would go. I think he's a better fit with Boston, because Kevin Durant, he's a plug and play guy, man, to be honest with you. So let me take that back. He's a plug and play guy. Wherever he goes, he's going to be a great fit for that team, and he's going to put that team over the top. So I can't say that he'll be better with Boston or better with Miami. I think both of these teams are already moving in the right direction. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, both of them. One went to the finals, and if Kevin Durant was on either one of those teams, though the team would have went to the finals and probably would have won the finals. So I think if I ruled the world, man, I would say to Kevin Durant, stay in Brooklyn and get it done in Brooklyn.